Alright, well, let's take a look at the car we're working on here. It's a 1970 Plymouth Barracuda. And let's come around on inside because we're working on the speedometer cable. Because I had an issue with the speedometer not working correctly. Now I got a little involved in pulling things apart, probably way more than what I needed to do, but as you can see I pulled out the instrument cluster here, and you don't probably really need to do that in order to get to the speedometer cable, but I just kind of started going for it, and this is what I'm left with. Okay, now the area of interest here, here's the end of the speedometer cable I pulled out here, and it looks like part of the problem is if you look at this white plastic housing, you can see that this little clip here should be extended, and at some point in its lifetime it snapped off there. So that probably allowed this housing here to kind of go in and out, and possibly it got probably pulled back from my speedometer cable, or from the back of my speedometer, and that's why it was fluctuating and making the growling noise that it was, because yeah, it just wasn't engaged properly. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the new cable that I got for it. So as you can see here, I've got two speedometer cables because the first one I bought wasn't the right one. The first one I bought, I got a 904 torque light in my Barracuda. It has a 318 in it. And I got this one from O'Reilly, and it didn't have the correct end on it. So this one was an 80-inch speedometer cable. It said that it would work for my Barracuda, but the 80 inches is longer than what I need. And plus, if you look at the ends on here, this was the one that I got from O'Reilly. It has this spin-on thing here. Alright, and then the one that I really needed, this is what the original one looks like. It's got this big huge nut on it, and if you can tell the difference here, there's no way that this one's going to screw on versus this one here. They're just way too different. So I went to Classic Industries, and I got this one here, and this is the one that looks like it's going to do the job for me here. Alright, it looks like it's an identical reproduction of what I've originally got. So before you go buying parts, make sure that you get the correct end, because I don't know what this fits, but it doesn't fit a 727 torque light, and it doesn't fit a 904 torque light. So I don't know what this one's for, but it's not working for me. But this one here does have the correct end. This will go into my 904. So if you ever take the back of your instrument cluster out, this is what the back side of it looks like here, just so you'll know what you're dealing with. And this is the speedometer right here, where this here will just plug right into the back side of it here, okay? And then it's attached with these two screws that go in there, and you got a screw that goes in there, and then a screw that goes in there. So you could actually, it looks like, keep this whole instrument cluster in the car. There's no need to take it out, because if you can get your hand up there to clip this thing in and unclip it, this is all you got to do. It comes off really easy just by depressing the back of this here and snapping it in. But I pulled my whole thing out, and so I'm just cleaning it up really good. And plus, I'm going to test, I'm going to plug this in the back of my speedometer and give it a test and see how it works, and check it out. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is we're going to test out my speedometer. This is what I'm working with. Came out of a 1970 Barracuda, just a regular standard dash. This isn't a rally dash, because you can see it doesn't say 150 miles per hour. It's just the regular 120 mile an hour speedometer. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my speedometer cable onto this, and then I'm going to give it a test drive with my drill here and see what changes it makes. Make sure that it's not making that growling noise, and making sure that the speedometer needle's not like fluctuating all over the place. So what I'm going to do is, these speedometers, keep in mind that when they rotate counterclockwise. So when I chuck this end of the cable into my drill, I'm going to have it in the reverse mode, so it'll go counterclockwise. That'll enable my speedometer to turn correctly. So let's test this thing out and see how it works. I'll start by plugging this in here. I'm going to have to put the phone down here. Okay, so I got my speedometer, and I got the this clipped on to the back here, and now I've got the cable is run in to my the back of my drill, and I've got it chucked in here, and then I also have my drill in the reverse mode. All right, so let's give it a test drive here and see how the speedometer works. Make sure it's not going crazy. Alright, so that's way better than what it used to be, because it was growling and making all this grinding noise. I know it looks like it's fluctuating, but I think that's because of me and my unsteadiness and pushing the drill. The fact that it's not making all the growling noise anymore makes me happy. Now, I'd say that it's definitely quick. It's not fluctuating, and it sounds perfectly quiet. See how fast I can get the go up to it. That's full speed with the drill. That's as fast as I can make the drill go. See what's going on back here. Flywheel thing is spinning like crazy back there. So that was kind of cool. Alright, so I'd say that definitely this new cable with this nice brand new end on here, we're looking good. I think the problem's going to be fixed. So I'm going to put some white lithium grease in here next. All the sites that I've gone to always say to use white lithium grease on the speedometer cable, so I'm just going to like pull this cable out. Now keep in mind, if you do this while it's in the car, you can't, this is the part that goes on the end of the transmission, and you can't unplug it from the transmission and think you're going to pull the cable out here, because it doesn't pull out that way. You got to disconnect it from the back side of your speedometer, which is right here, because it's got this bushing thing on here that traps it in. So you unplug it from the back side of your speedometer, and this way you can pull your cable all the way out. And I'm just going to take this grease and just grease up this cable really good, and then slide it back in there. So basically you can see I just got this thing all totally loaded up with grease, so I'll smooth it out with my hand, you know, somewhat, and just slide this whole thing back in with this entire cable greased up with this white lithium grease, and hopefully that'll make sure it stays quiet as well. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but here I am under the car, and this is the speedometer cable, and the reason why I'm showing this is right here is the rubber grommet that I stuck into the firewall, and it went in pretty good. It feels like it's going to stay secure. So I just routed the speedometer cable to a point where it just isn't rubbing on the exhaust, which is obviously right here. So I got it off the exhaust. Kind of runs by the torsion bar, but it's not touching it. And then it kind of sneaks around through here, and then plugs in right there. So I'm going to put a little grease on the end of this thing before I plug it in. Okay, so grease up the tip a bit. Right. there, so you can see I grease up the tip there, and then I'll plug it back in wherever that is. Kind of lost it. Oh, there it is. We'll plug it back into there, and then we'll be done with the under part of the car. So here we are underneath the car where the speedometer cable plugs in. Here's the speedometer cable, and then it plugs into the tail shaft of the transmission right there. And when you pull this out, I've already pulled it out once, and a ton of transmission fluid came flying out of here, so keep that in mind. But now it's empty in this area now, so I just want to pull it out so you can see it. And you've got this gear. This orange gear spins inside the transmission, and the size of that orange gear is associated with the rear end ratio that you have, so your speedometer will spin at the correct speed. So it all ties together. You gotta have your rear end ratio matched up with this pinion gear here, and then in order for your speedometer to spin at the correct speed. All right. And a lot of the catalogs, they show this. I never really understood what it was, but let's take it apart here. That's what it looks like right there. All right, and on the inside here, it's hard to see, but it says 26 teeth. So there's all different kinds of gears here for your Chrysler, and this one just happens to have 26 gears on it. 26 teeth, that is, okay? But this is one area that I guess could go bad when you're trying to fix your speedometer. Mine looks like it's pretty clean, and everything looks fine, so I don't think this is a problem why my speedometer cable is fluttering so much. So, but I just wanted to pull that out so you guys could see it. So here I'm back underneath the car here, and like I said, it's kind of tight confined. So this is says it has a 1 inch on it, by the way. So I'm just going to put it on here. All right, and then I can get my wrench on here. It just gives me a better angle to snug this down. In fact, it doesn't take much. That's about all I need right there. But sure, it's nice having this tool, and I don't think I've ever used these. This is the first time, but it snugged it on there really good. So I put everything back together, and speedometer didn't work. And I think the problem is right here. Remember, there's that gear that drives into the transmission. This is the tail shaft here, and this thing here, this is where the speedometer cable plugs into, and I was like trying to like move this, and you don't want to be able to move this inside gear thingy here. It needs to be really solid, and I noticed that by spinning this section here, this aluminum housing, by spinning it, I was able to get it to kind of firm up to where I think the gear inside is meshing with the gear inside the transmission. So make sure when you put this back into the tranny that this thing here won't spin, because you want to make sure those teeth are engaged in with the transmission, okay? But that's definitely one thing that I learned when I put everything back together. You got to get those teeth meshed back together. Alright, here we go. The moment of truth to see if it works.